Continuing from the previous chapter, Lin Dong began searching for a way to help his close companion, Little Yin, break through to the Nirvana stage in order to enhance their team's overall strength. Inside a dimly lit cave, a massive shadow gradually emerged until it finally stepped into the sunlight. As this figure appeared, the air in the valley seemed to freeze, and a faint aura of malevolence spread through the atmosphere. Lin Dong's pupils contracted as he stared at the enormous figure. It resembled a small giant, standing several meters tall. Its body was covered with black bristles that looked like steel thorns, and most strikingly, its head was not that of a human, but a large tiger's head. Its sharp fangs glistened with blood, sending a chill down one's spine. The tiger's eyes, slightly tinged with crimson, were filled with a savage, bloodthirsty rage. This was no ordinary beast. The mighty earth-cracking tiger had clearly shed most of its beastly form. If it were to survive 1 or 2 more Nirvana tribulations, it might completely transcend its beast shape. The mighty earth-cracking tiger stood just outside the cave, its aura of ferocity condensing around it as if it were a tangible force, sharp as a blade. When the mighty earth-cracking tiger appeared, the expressions of the people from the 2 great dynasties on the valley's hillside changed, showing signs of fear. The violent pressure emanating from the tiger made it difficult for them to breathe. Whatever your purpose here, leave Beast Valley at once. The tiger's gaze, filled with brutality, glared at the people from the 2 advanced dynasties. Its deep roar, like rolling thunder, reverberated through the valley, and the piercing sound waves caused sharp pain in the ears of those with weaker strength. To think it can speak human words, truly impressive for a beast that has undergone a Nirvana tribulation, Lin Dong silently praised. Aside from Little Mink, this was only the 2nd time he had encountered a beast capable of human speech. Just a beast, and yet so arrogant. Do you really think surviving 1 Nirvana tribulation makes you invincible? I know you possess a Sky Crocodile Bone. If you hand it over voluntarily, perhaps you can continue ruling here, said a man in gray clothing. His face bore unusual tiger-like markings, and his hands were clasped behind his back, showing no sign of being affected by the mighty earth-cracking tiger's pressure. This must be Tung Hu, the leader of the Demon Tiger dynasty. Lin Dong's eyes narrowed. From the intelligence he had gathered, he knew the name of the 1 Yuan Nirvana stage expert from the Demon Tiger dynasty, and it was clear that this man was him. You want my Sky Crocodile Bone? The mighty earth-cracking tiger's eyes suddenly turned icy. It grabbed a massive boulder with its large, powerful hand and hurled it fiercely at Tung Hu. The stone cut through the air with a sharp whistle. Oomph! Seeing the mighty earth-cracking tiger attack so swiftly, Tung Hu snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, a surge of formidable primordial energy burst forth, shattering the boulder into countless fragments. A beast is a beast unteachable. In that case, we'll deal with you along with it. As it happens, my friend here has a keen interest in you. Taming you would certainly be quite the boast. Tung Hu's eyes glinted with cold light. Then, turning his head slightly, he addressed a man clad in beast-hide garments beside him. Brother Chinimo, shall we take this beast down together? I've never fought a beast of this level before. But we have a deal. You get the Sky Crocodile Bone, and I get this mighty earth-cracking tiger. The man in beast hide, his eyes burning with fervor as he stared at the mighty earth-cracking tiger, was no weakling either. His strength rivaled Tung Hu's. Clearly, he was the leader of the Beast Dynasty and also a 1 Yuan Nirvana expert. As you say, Tung Hu laughed heartily and then suddenly leaped forward. At the same time, a powerful surge of primordial energy spread out, enveloping the valley with a formidable aura that countered the mighty earth-cracking tiger's own oppressive presence. Simultaneously, a similarly potent wave of primordial energy surged from Chan Mo's body. In an instant, the entire valley was covered by the powerful auras of the 2 men and the beast. Under such intense pressure, nearly everyone from the 2 advanced dynasties, except for the 2 Nirvana experts, found it hard to breathe. Boom! Violent waves of primordial energy rippled through the valley. In the next moment, Tung Hu and Chun Mo's eyes sharpened, and their bodies shot forward like arrows. Sky Tiger devours the void. High in the air, Tung Hu's primordial energy gathered around him, forming a massive energy tiger that roared toward the heavens, emanating an aura of true tiger might. Beast Sealing Seal. Chun Mo's hands shifted in a complex pattern, and a massive light seal shot out, appearing above the mighty earth-cracking tiger in an instant. Countless beams of light descended like a net, locking the beast's form entirely. As soon as these two launched their attacks, they demonstrated a remarkable level of coordination, one focused on offense, while the other on containment, working together quite seamlessly. The primordial energy tiger, imbued with a fierce and domineering aura, shot forward like a lightning bolt, striking the mighty earth-cracking tiger squarely in the body. A deep explosion echoed through the valley, and the mighty earth-cracking tiger's massive body was forced back several steps. Each time its enormous feet hit the ground, the entire valley seemed to tremble. Faced with the combined assault from Tung Hu and Chun Mo, the mighty earth-cracking tiger was clearly enraged. The bloodthirsty glint in its tiger eyes intensified, and with a heaven-shaking roar, a surge of blood-colored energy burst forth from its body. The mighty earth-cracking tiger stamped its paw heavily on the ground, and in an instant, its body transformed into a flash of lightning, tearing through the air and appearing right in front of Tung Hu. It unleashed a powerful tiger punch, following a trajectory reminiscent of martial arts moves. The force behind it was exceptionally strong. Devil Tiger Fist. Tung Hu's eyes also flashed with a cold glint. His fists moved as if transforming into a demonic tiger, with his punches taking on the shape of a fierce tiger as he met the mighty earth-cracking tiger's blow head-on. A muffled thud swept through the valley, and Tung Hu's body was sent flying backward. Though both were at the 1 Yuan Nirvana stage, if it came down to a direct clash, he was clearly not a match for the mighty earth-cracking tiger. When these types of beasts gain sentience, their naturally powerful bodies generally give them an edge over human experts of the same level. Despite being knocked back, Tung Hu was quite ruthless, immediately launching himself back into the fray with the mighty earth-cracking tiger. In no time, the valley was filled with the sound of exploding boulders and the shockwaves of violent energy, creating a terrifying scene. While Tung Hu tangled with the mighty earth-cracking tiger, Chun Mo leaped into the air. He let out a whistle, and immediately, the experts from the Beast Dynasty around the valley all sprang into action, launching beams of primordial energy that converged onto Chun Mo. It appeared he was preparing something significant. Lin Dong squinted slightly as he watched the fierce battle unfolding in the valley. His gaze swept towards the cave, and after some thought, he remained still. The two men and the beast in the valley were not easy opponents. Although they were locked in fierce combat, their attention was still fixed on the direction of the cave. If Lin Dong made an appearance, they would surely notice, and it was likely they would stop fighting and come after him instead. Moreover, while his blood spirit puppet had reached the level of a first-grade spirit puppet, it was clearly no match for 3 1 Yuan Nirvana stage experts. For now, the best course of action was to wait and see. Boom! 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 As Lin Dong pondered, the battle in the valley grew even more intense. However, it was evident that the mighty earth-cracking tiger held the upper hand. In a one-on-one fight, it feared no 1 Yuan Nirvana stage expert. However, it was also clear that Tung Hu and his companions did not intend to engage in a brute force showdown. Tung Hu's body was once again sent flying. Suppressing the churning blood within him, his eyes showed a hint of gravity. The martial arts of the Demon Tiger dynasty were always known for their raw power and dominance. But even so, dealing with this true demonic tiger was proving to be incredibly tricky. As his body flew backward, Tung Hu glanced at Chun Mo, who seemed nearly ready in midair, and shouted, "Brother Chun Mo, are you not going to act now?" In midair, Chun Mo, his body enveloped in a strange, bright light, laughed loudly at Tung Hu's words. Then his hand seals changed. Demon binding chains. Swish, swish, swish. Following Chun Mo's shout, a series of crisp sounds rang out, and countless chains formed from condensed primordial energy shot down suddenly. The tips of these chains were razor-sharp, slicing through the sky before plunging fiercely into the mighty earth-cracking tiger's body. As soon as the chains pierced it, a series of light sigils rapidly spread across the tiger's body, and immediately, the blood-colored light enveloping it began to dim. The Beast Dynasty is specialized in dealing with creatures like you. Let's see what you can do this time. Tung, who couldn't help but laugh as he watched the mighty earth-cracking tiger's blood aura rapidly weaken. Curse you, humans! The mighty earth-cracking tiger struggled frantically, trying to pull the chains out of its body. However, these chains seemed to contain a unique power that suppressed the energy within the tiger, making it difficult to break free. Tung, who swiftly moved forward, and with a clench of his palm, a powerful surge of primordial energy rapidly condensed into a long spear. His eyes glinted with a cold, murderous intent. Roar! Sensing Tung, whose killing intent, the mighty earth-cracking tiger let out a furious roar. Blood-red energy surged continuously, but it was tightly restrained by the chains binding it. I can help you get out of this mess, but it will cost you something. Are you willing? Just as the blood-red glow in the mighty earth-cracking tiger's eyes grew even more intense, a faint voice quietly entered its ears. The struggling mighty earth-cracking tiger froze for a moment. Its tiger eyes quickly scanned the surrounding valley, and after a brief hesitation, it nodded vigorously. Given the current situation, it was clear Lin Dong couldn't wait for the two sides to mutually exhaust each other. After all, these two advanced dynasties had come prepared, and they had means specifically designed to restrain the mighty earth-cracking tiger. If things continued this way, the tiger might actually be captured, and if Lin Dong appeared then, it could become extremely troublesome. Although Lin Dong wasn't afraid of facing both dynasties if it came down to it, it would still be challenging and come with some cost. Comparatively, if he could team up with the mighty earth-cracking tiger to drive off the two advanced dynasties, any subsequent situation would be easier to handle than facing both dynasties alone. So, as the mighty earth-cracking tiger found itself in a dire situation, Lin Dong finally decided to make a move, temporarily helping it to fend off the two advanced dynasties. In midair, Tung, whose eyes were filled with murderous intent, the primordial energy spear in his hand suddenly shot forward, aiming away from the tiger's vital spots, but still capable of causing severe injuries if it struck. Seeing the incoming spear, the mighty earth-cracking tiger's expression changed. It struggled frantically, but the strange chains, bolstered by Chun Mo and the experts of the Beast Dynasty, held it firmly in place. At that very moment, from one side of the valley, a streak of red light suddenly shot out at an astonishing speed, tearing through the air and slicing into the chains of primordial energy. Crack! Under the fierce attack, the chains of primordial energy shattered inch by inch, and finally, with a mighty effort, the mighty earth-cracking tiger broke free. It threw a powerful punch, shattering the spear of primordial energy with a single blow. Who is it? The sudden change caught everyone off guard, and both Tung, Hu, and Chun Mo's faces turned grim as they swiftly turned their gazes toward the red figure that had appeared. The figure, enveloped in flames, stood silently in midair, exuding a powerful aura that commanded respect and caution. Who are you? The Demon Tiger Dynasty and Beast Dynasty are conducting business here. Please do not interfere. Tung, Hu glared coldly at the red figure, his voice filled with barely contained rage. The earlier preparations had all been in vain, leaving him furious. If it weren't for the intimidating aura emanating from this figure, he would have attacked immediately. The red figure was, of course, the blood spirit puppet. It gazed indifferently at Tung Hu, not uttering a single word. The mighty earth-cracking tiger, having regained its footing, glanced at the blood spirit puppet with a hint of surprise. As a beast, it had a keen sense. It could tell that this figure, which even it dared not underestimate, lacked any sign of life within it. Tung Hu, this is a spirit puppet, not a living being. The person controlling it must be nearby. Chun Mo's eyes flashed coldly as he observed the blood spirit puppet, then suddenly shouted, "Find that person for me. He can't hide." Tung Hu's eyes turned cold as he barked orders. And no need to search. However, just as Tung Hu's shout fell, a figure drifted out lightly. It was Lin Dong. This time, though, he wore a conical hat, clearly intending to conceal his identity. As soon as Lin Dong appeared, the eyes of Tung Hu and the others fell upon him. When they sensed the aura around Lin Dong, they breathed a sigh of relief. Thankfully, he was merely at the half-step nirvana stage. Friend, your actions here might not be very wise. If you choose to stand aside, I, Tung Hu, will personally invite you to become an honored guest of the Demon Tiger Dynasty. In this ancient battlefield, having more friends is never a bad thing. Although his eyes were filled with killing intent, Tung Hu forced a smile as he spoke. Had Lin Dong truly been alone, Tung Hu wouldn't have wasted any time talking and would have attacked immediately. However, that wasn't the case now. Although they didn't regard Lin Dong's half-step nirvana strength as a threat, the spirit puppet, which even they found dangerous, made them wary of acting rashly. Mighty earth-cracking tiger, does our agreement still stand? Lin Dong ignored Tung Hu and looked toward the mighty earth-cracking tiger below, his eyes hidden under the brim of his hat. The mighty earth-cracking tiger's eyes flared with a red glow, and it nodded firmly, its voice filled with ferocity. Let's tear these bastards apart first. Punk, you're asking for trouble. Offending both of our advanced dynasties is a death wish. Seeing this, Chun Mo's expression turned icy, and Tung Hu's face was equally dark. Brother Chun Mo, you handle the spirit puppet. I'll hold off the mighty earth-cracking tiger. As for this guy, he's just a half-step nirvana. Let the others deal with him. Once he's dead, the spirit puppet will naturally lose control. Foolish boy. He thinks he can act with impunity because of a spirit puppet. Fine, kill him, and the spirit puppet will become a precious treasure. Tung Hu took a deep breath, speaking with a sinister tone. Got it. Hearing this, Chun Mo grinned fiercely, his eyes filled with greed as he looked at the blood spirit puppet. Today, I'll tear you apart first. With a thunderous roar, the mighty earth-cracking tiger slammed its paw into the ground, its body surging forward with a violent, ferocious energy as it charged straight at Tung Hu. The sheer ferocity of the attack caused even Tung Hu's face to twitch slightly. He didn't dare to be careless and hastily channeled his primordial energy to its peak to meet the assault head-on. As the mighty earth-cracking tiger launched its attack, Chun Mo also moved, positioning himself in front of the blood spirit puppet. With a cold gaze fixed on Lin Dong, he waved his hand and commanded, Tung Lin, Chun Dong, the two of you, take this kid down. Got it? Two Nirvana experts from the valley shot downward, quickly positioning themselves near Lin Dong, sinister smiles on their faces. Given their strength, taking down someone merely at the half-step Nirvana stage would be incredibly easy. Kid, in your next life, learn to watch who you mess with. Some people are way out of your league. Lin Dong glanced at the two grinning men and couldn't help but chuckle. Though they were Nirvana experts, it was evident they had only recently broken through to that level. Judging from the energy fluctuations emanating from their bodies, they were far inferior to Lei Shi and Chun Mu of the demonic rock dynasty and were, at most, on par with Li Yin. Lin Dong's scoffing was not subtle and was naturally noticed by the two men. Their eyes twitched, clearly not expecting such arrogance from a half-step Nirvana practitioner in their eyes. Kill him. One of the Nirvana experts spoke with a cold voice. As his voice fell, primordial energy surged around them, and the two launched a coordinated attack on Lin Dong, one from the left and the other from the right, forming a pincer maneuver with the intent to encircle him. Although the two were angered by Lin Dong's arrogance, they remained calm and did not underestimate their opponent. They attacked together, their combined power not to be taken lightly. Seeing this, Chun Mo nodded slightly. With two Nirvana experts attacking simultaneously, even if that kid had some skills, his fate shouldn't be much better. Once Chun Dong and the others take care of this kid, the spirit puppet will lose control. Then I'll grab it for myself. I can't let something like this fall into the hands of the Demon Tiger Dynasty, Chun Mo thought as he slowly withdrew his gaze from Lin Dong and fixed it on the blood spirit puppet, his eyes filled with growing greed. Bang! Bang! Just as Chun Mo's mind was occupied with his greedy thoughts, two dull thuds suddenly sounded not far away. Hearing the sound, Chun Mo's eyebrow twitched slightly. Was that kid really so easy to defeat? With a hint of mockery in his thoughts, Chun Mo turned his gaze back, only to see two battered figures scraping along the ground, flying backward. They slammed hard into a massive boulder, causing it to shatter instantly. The two spat out mouthfuls of blood, their faces filled with shock. Chun Dong, seeing the two coughing up blood, even Chun Mo was momentarily stunned. He quickly looked up and saw the figure in the conical hat hovering in midair. Powerful waves of spiritual energy were surging around him, causing even the natural energy of heaven and earth to boil. Spiritual energy? This kid, he's a heavenly talisman master. Feeling the immense spiritual energy, Chun Mo's expression finally darkened. This time, they had seriously miscalculated. Now's not the time to be distracted. Lin Dong chuckled softly, seemingly sensing Chun Mo's gaze. Immediately, the blood spirit puppet exploded with dazzling light and launched a fierce assault on Chun Mo. Caught off guard by the sudden burst of energy from the blood spirit puppet, Chun Mo found himself in a somewhat awkward position and quickly retreated. At this moment, the two Nirvana experts who had been repelled by Lin Dong finally steadied themselves. Suppressing the shock in their hearts, they exchanged a glance, and primordial energy surged within them. Powerful martial arts techniques were rapidly deployed in their hands. This time, they dared not hold back, pushing their strength to its limits. However, as the two men unleashed their martial arts to the fullest, Lin Dong merely smiled faintly. He had already managed to defeat Lei Shi, who had failed to survive a Nirvana tribulation, so dealing with these two Nirvana experts, who were far inferior to even Chun Mu, was hardly a challenge. The powerful primordial energy finally took shape in the hands of the two Nirvana experts, and with a formidable momentum, they charged ferociously toward Lin Dong. The two Nirvana experts stared viciously at the figure in midair. Although this guy was a heavenly talisman master, they thought he would surely avoid direct confrontation at this point. However, what happened next shattered their naive assumptions. As their powerful martial arts attack bore down on him, Lin Dong, hovering in midair, made no attempt to dodge. Instead, he clenched his hand, summoning a bolt of lightning from the sky that transformed into a black thunder palm. With a single strike, it slammed down on their martial arts attack. A deep sound echoed through the air, and in the next moment, the faces of the two Nirvana experts turned deathly pale. Under the might of the black thunder palm, their prideful martial arts assault was utterly destroyed upon contact. It was only at this moment that they realized the truth. This person, who seemed to be only at the half-step Nirvana stage, had been pretending to be weak all along, hiding his true strength. Clearly, this time they had run into a brick wall, a very hard one. The powerful martial arts attack exploded completely in midair, but the black thunder palm continued its downward trajectory with undiminished force, slamming into the bodies of Chun Dong and his companion, their faces frozen in shock. A low rumble resonated as it struck them, sending their bodies flying back like broken kites. Blood spurted from their mouths, and their auras immediately weakened significantly. Lin Dong's strike had clearly inflicted serious injuries on them. Seeing this, the troops of the two advanced dynasties around the valley were stunned. They watched Lin Dong with eyes filled with shock. Although they had already realized from Chun Mo's earlier exclamation that this seemingly half-step Nirvana practitioner was actually a heavenly talisman master, they still believed that Chun Dong and his companion, with their Nirvana-level strength, should have at least been able to hold Lin Dong off, even if they couldn't defeat him quickly. Yet, seeing them blasted away with a single strike crushed that belief completely. How is this possible? At the same moment, Chun Mo, who had been keeping an eye on Lin Dong, found his face turning exceedingly grim, a trace of unease flickering in his eyes. The situation seemed to be slipping out of their control. Chun Mo gritted his teeth, dodging the fierce attacks from the blood spirit puppet. He glanced over at Tung Hu, who, under the nearly frenzied assault of the mighty earth-cracking tiger, was clearly on the back foot. He could only barely hold his ground with powerful martial arts techniques, but it was obvious he wouldn't last long. Beasts not only had stronger physical bodies than humans, but also superior endurance. If this battle turned into a prolonged stalemate, it would not end well for them. Everyone listen to me. Attack together and take down this kid. Chun Mo's eyes were dark, his gaze flickering, and he suddenly shouted. Given the current situation, Lin Dong had to be dealt with first. Otherwise, Chun Mo wouldn't be able to break free from the blood spirit puppet's onslaught. If he couldn't free himself, Tung Hu would inevitably lose to the mighty earth-cracking tiger. Yes, the troops of the two advanced dynasties in the valley responded in unison. They unleashed their powerful primordial energy, surging toward Lin Dong in overwhelming numbers, clearly intending to overwhelm him with sheer force. Standing in midair, Lin Dong looked down at the approaching experts from the two dynasties with a hint of mockery in his eyes. He rotated his palm, and the power of devouring suddenly swept out, forming a black curtain that spread outwards. Devouring domain. This time, however, Lin Dong didn't fully unleash its power. The range was not particularly large, but it was more than sufficient to deal with these opponents. Caught off guard, several figures were directly sucked into the devouring domain. Their strength was far inferior to that of Lei Shi and the others. So within less than 10 seconds, the devouring domain gradually faded away. One by one, figures fell helplessly from the sky, crashing heavily into the valley below, followed by a series of weak, pained groans. Who on earth is this guy? Chun Mo's eyes widened with a hint of horror as he watched his subordinates, whose strength had dwindled to almost nothing in a matter of seconds. He couldn't comprehend how his previously formidable forces had become so weakened in such a short time. This bastard. The commotion caused by Lin Dong was significant. So even Tung Hu, who was struggling against the mighty earth-cracking tiger, noticed. His mind shook, and he couldn't help but curse angrily. You dare get distracted now? However, just as his cursing ended, the mighty earth-cracking tiger's eyes flared with a fierce light. It unleashed a devastating tiger punch, accompanied by a piercing tiger's roar that seemed to reverberate through the air. The punch, filled with violent energy, surged straight toward Tung Hu. Faced with such a ferocious assault from the mighty earth-cracking tiger, Tung Hu's face changed dramatically. His body trembled violently, and in the blink of an eye, he expanded into a beast form nearly the same size as the mighty earth-cracking tiger. It seemed that the martial arts he cultivated were somewhat similar to Lin Dong's earlier training with the demon ape transformation. Boom! The two giant tigers collided fiercely, and within 100 meters, every boulder was shattered into powder by the tremendous force. Cracks as thick as an arm spread out like a spider web. Tung Hu's body was sent flying backward, his feet digging half a meter into the ground, leaving a deep trench in the valley. Even though he had cultivated this special body-tempering martial art, there was still a noticeable gap between him and the mighty earth-cracking tiger. You think your weak skills are enough to covet the Sky Crocodile Bone? You're courting death. The mighty earth-cracking tiger was evidently furious about having been subdued earlier. Now, its attacks were even more ruthless, giving Tung Hu no time to breathe. With a heavy stomp, its massive body surged forward again, accompanied by a foul wind, charging straight at Tung Hu, whose blood was still churning within him. Seeing the mighty earth-cracking tiger charging at him again, Tung Hu couldn't help but feel bitter, but he had no choice but to face it head-on. Bang! While Tung Hu was being relentlessly pressured by the mighty earth-cracking tiger, Chun Mo, in another part of the battlefield, wasn't faring any better. The blood spirit puppet's current strength was enough to rival any 1-yuan Nirvana expert. So even with all his might, Chun Mo could only manage a draw with it, unable to gain any advantage. Moreover, with Lin Dong secretly intervening from the sidelines after having wiped out the forces of the two advanced dynasties, Chun Mo found himself in an increasingly unfavorable situation. Lin Dong's attacks were cunning and evasive. He never engaged Chun Mo head-on, instead using his powerful spiritual energy to launch unpredictable strikes that frustrated Chun Mo to no end. In a moment of anger, Chen Mo left an opening that the blood spirit puppet exploited, landing a heavy punch on his chest. Even though Chen Mo had successfully passed a nirvana tribulation, a punch from the blood spirit puppet was no joke. His face paled, and a muffled groan escaped his throat. Seizing the opportunity, Lin Dong continued his strategy of relentlessly pursuing a weakened foe. With a thought, the blood spirit puppet's attacks became even more violent and fierce, leaving Chen Mo no chance to catch his breath and stabilize his energy. Damn brat! After being harassed like this several times, Chen Mo was furious, jumping up and down in rage. A hint of retreat began to form in his heart. Given the current situation, it was clear they could no longer hope to obtain the Sky Crocodile Bone easily. Worse still, they might end up losing everything. With his eyes flickering, Chen Mo finally gritted his teeth hard and let out a sharp whistle. The shrill sound echoed through the valley, clear to everyone's ears. The severely weakened experts of the two advanced dynasties, upon hearing this whistle, hurriedly struggled to their feet, exchanged glances, and then retreated out of the valley in waves. It was clear that Chen Mo's whistle signaled a retreat. Boom! Tung, who was once again sent flying by the mighty earth-cracking tiger. A sweet taste rose in his throat as he turned to see his forces retreating swiftly. His face darkened, and he cast a venomous glance at Lin Dong, who was hovering in midair. Kid, mark my words. Don't let me find out who you are, or I'll tear you to pieces. Tung, who roared. Today's plan, which was initially foolproof, had been completely ruined by Lin Dong's unexpected interference. How could he not be furious? With a final roar, Tung Hu dared not linger any longer. Today's operation was already a failure, and continuing would only lead to more than just minor injuries. With a swift movement, he transformed into a red streak, retreating rapidly. After a few leaps, he disappeared from the valley. As the forces of the two advanced dynasties hastily retreated, the chaotic valley gradually quieted down. Only the shattered stones and cracks in the valley floor remained, bearing silent witness to the fierce battle that had taken place here moments before. Lin Dong calmly watched the two great dynasties retreat and gave a faint smile. As for the threats from Tung Hu, he completely ignored them. After all, when you owe a lot of debts, you don't worry about one or two more. He had already offended quite a few people and didn't mind adding a few more to the list. Lin Dong waved his hand gently, and the blood spirit puppet quietly stood behind him, its dangerous aura entirely withdrawn. At this moment, the mighty earth-cracking tiger below was panting heavily, clearly exhausted from the intense battle earlier. It lifted its head, eyes fixed on Lin Dong. The red glow in its tiger eyes flickered slightly, hinting at a faint trace of a violent aura spreading out. Lin Dong, from beneath his conical hat, met the mighty earth-cracking tiger's gaze with a calm stare. The beast's fierce look seemed to have no impact on him. After a brief moment of eye contact, Lin Dong smiled faintly and said, "Now, shouldn't we discuss the price you agreed to pay beforehand?" The mighty earth-cracking tiger narrowed its eyes slightly and glanced at the blood spirit puppet standing behind Lin Dong before speaking. "I'm not like those ungrateful humans. Tell me, what price do you want me to pay?" However, as it spoke, there was a flicker of hesitation in its eyes. Lin Dong stretched lazily, seemingly unaware of the tiger's reaction, and pointed toward the cave with a casual smile. "It's simple, just give me the Sky Crocodile Bone." As Lin Dong uttered these words, the air in the valley seemed to freeze for a moment. The mighty earth-cracking tiger's eyes glinted with a hint of ferocity as it stared at Lin Dong. "So, you have the same purpose as those other guys." The mighty earth-cracking tiger sneered, baring its sharp, white fangs. "There's no such thing as a free lunch in this world. If I hadn't stepped in today, not only would you have lost the Sky Crocodile Bone, but you might have lost your life as well," Lin Dong said calmly. "I told you clearly beforehand. If you want my help, you must pay a price. I'm sure you had already guessed what that price would be at the time. Now that you've agreed, and yet you're saying these things, should I assume you're deliberately trying to fool me?" A cold glint flashed in Lin Dong's eyes beneath the brim of his hat. "You did help me, I won't deny that. But the Sky Crocodile Bone is something I need to get through my second Nirvana tribulation. I can't hand it over to you. The mighty earth-cracking tiger hesitated, its expression shifting. I do have some Nirvana pills. I can offer them to you as compensation. Lin Dong's brow furrowed slightly. Things were clearly not going as smoothly as he had hoped. Getting the mighty earth-cracking tiger to obediently hand over the Sky Crocodile Bone was not going to be an easy task. Seeing that Lin Dong remained silent, a wary look flashed in the mighty earth-cracking tiger's eyes. It glanced at the blood spirit puppet behind Lin Dong. It knew that if a fight broke out, it might not have the upper hand against the combined strength of Lin Dong and the blood spirit puppet. Hey, why make the atmosphere so tense? Just as the atmosphere in the valley became increasingly strained, Little Mink's lazy voice suddenly rang out. It casually appeared on Lin Dong's shoulder. A demon spirit? Seeing Little Mink appear on Lin Dong's shoulder, the mighty earth-cracking tiger was taken aback. Its eyes widened with a mix of seriousness and wariness. Despite Little Mink's small form, the tiger sensed a faint, intimidating pressure emanating from it. Hey, big guy, are you planning to transplant the Sky Crocodile Bone into your body when you face the Nirvana tribulation? If that's the case, Lord Mink thinks you might not survive very long. The bloodline of the Sky Crocodile clan is extremely powerful, and with your mediocre physique, even if you forcibly integrate it, you won't be able to unleash its true power. Instead, you'll end up with mismatched bones and muscles, doing more harm than good, Little Mink remarked, glancing at the mighty earth-cracking tiger. Upon hearing this, the mighty earth-cracking tiger's expression changed, but surprisingly, it did not refute. That was indeed its intention, and it was well aware of the immense risk involved. The Nirvana tribulation is extremely difficult to survive. Without the Sky Crocodile Bone, it's a matter of life and death for me. I'd rather take the risk, the mighty earth-cracking tiger said in a deep voice. It seemed to speak with less hostility towards Little Mink. With its unique beastly intuition, it could sense that this seemingly small creature in front of it concealed a ferocity many times more savage than its own. It seems you're intent on passing that second Nirvana tribulation, Little Mink remarked, propping its paw under its chin. All right, seeing as you've cultivated to this level, Lord Mink won't resort to threats. With that, Little Mink clenched its paw, and a light scroll quickly formed in its grasp. This is a unique body-refining martial art used by the Abyssal Tiger clan. If you can master it, your chances of surviving the Nirvana tribulation should increase by about 30%. Body-refining martial arts of the Abyssal Tiger clan? Hearing this, the mighty earth-cracking tiger couldn't help but exclaim. The Abyssal Tiger clan was one of the 3 major tiger clans, and their body-refining martial arts were extremely powerful. For a tiger-type beast like him, this was an invaluable treasure. He could hardly believe that the light scroll in Little Mink's paw was actually this legendary technique. Little Mink ignored the mighty earth-cracking tiger's shock and casually tossed the light scroll to him. The tiger quickly caught it, and the scroll dissolved into a stream of information that flooded into his mind. It's truly the body-refining martial art of the Abyssal Tiger clan. As the strange flow of information streamed through his mind, the mighty earth-cracking tiger's eyes lit up. Big guy, hand over the Sky Crocodile Bone now, Little Mink said, glancing at the elated mighty earth-cracking tiger and slightly curling its lips. Although this martial art wasn't considered particularly powerful among the Abyssal Tiger clan, to the mighty earth-cracking tiger, it was as valuable as a great treasure. Immersed in his joy, the mighty earth-cracking tiger hesitated upon hearing this. A hint of reluctance flickered in his eyes as he stammered. This martial art only increases my success rate by 30%. Little Mink's eyes narrowed slightly, and its voice suddenly turned much colder. Big guy, my patience is running thin. In this world, no one has ever taken something from me and walked away without fulfilling their end of the bargain. As its words fell, Little Mink suddenly took a step forward, hovering in midair. Behind it, a colossal shadow began to form, its immense wings slowly unfurling, seemingly capable of covering the sky. A terrifying wave of pressure, enough to make the mighty earth-cracking tiger's spirit tremble, silently spread out. The heavenly demon mink! The mighty earth-cracking tiger stared in terror at the massive shadow behind little mink, cold sweat breaking out all over its body. It was clear that even in a place like the demon realm, this top-tier species was not unfamiliar to him. Great heavenly demon mink, please don't be angry. I will fetch the Sky Crocodile Bone for you right away. The mighty earth-cracking tiger, being quite astute, quickly realized that little mink was becoming upset. Not daring to delay any longer, he immediately turned and rushed into the cave. Watching the hasty retreat of the mighty earth-cracking tiger, the massive shadow behind little mink finally receded, and the terrifying aura dissipated. Little mink chuckled with a hint of smugness as it leapt back on a Lin Dong's shoulder. See that? That's the power of Lord Mink's intimidation. Now you should understand the might and fearsome nature of the heavenly demon mink clan, right? Lin Dong shrugged, ignoring the smug creature. His gaze remained fixed on the cave, from which soon came the sound of hurried, heavy footsteps. After a short while, the mighty earth-cracking tiger reappeared, carrying a massive black skeleton on its shoulder, easily over 10 meters long. The black skeleton was placed heavily on the ground, causing the entire valley to tremble slightly. Even Lin Dong was slightly impressed by its weight. He then focused his gaze on it. The skeleton was jet black, gleaming like refined steel, as if forged from black iron. Even though it was now merely a tiger's bone, it still radiated an intense aura of dominance and ferocity that emanated from deep within the bone. Under the influence of this intimidating aura, even the mighty earth-cracking tiger instinctively took a few steps back, his eyes filled with a mix of fervor and reluctance as he stared at the tiger bone. Lin Dong clicked his tongue twice as he observed the skeleton. From the shape of the bones, one could vaguely discern the creature's appearance when it was alive. It indeed had the form of a tiger. One could only imagine the fearsome and dominant aura it would have radiated if this had been a living sky crocodile tiger. The fact that the Sky Crocodile Tiger is considered one of the 3 major tiger clans in the beast world is certainly not without reason. Little mink landed on the Sky Crocodile Tiger Bone. The domineering aura emanating from the tiger bone seemed to have no intimidating effect on it. It patted the tiger bone with its paw and then nodded to Lin Dong, saying, "It is indeed the Sky Crocodile Tiger Bone." Upon hearing Little Mink's confirmation, Lin Dong felt a great sense of relief. He had finally obtained it. With this, Little Yin should be able to successfully advance to the Nirvana stage and break free from his beast form. Lin Dong descended and examined the Sky Crocodile Tiger Bone for a moment. Then, with a wave of his sleeve, he stored it in his cosmic bag under the reluctant gaze of the mighty earth-cracking tiger. "Ah, thanks a lot for the generous gift, Brother Tiger." With the Sky Crocodile Tiger Bone in hand, Lin Dong felt quite pleased and laughed, addressing the mighty earth-cracking tiger, who was still staring at him. The mighty earth-cracking tiger smiled wryly and shook his head. However, he soon thought of the martial art he had just acquired, which alleviated some of his frustration. Given the heavenly demon mink's status, it certainly wouldn't fool him, so this martial art was likely to be quite legitimate. "We have other matters to attend to, so we won't stay here any longer. Brother Tiger, I suggest you also leave this place. Those guys from earlier probably won't give up so easily." With the item in hand, Lin Dong had no intention of lingering, and he spoke up immediately. "All right." The mighty earth-cracking tiger nodded. Though he harbored a strong desire to kill Chun Mo and the others, he understood that they were numerous and he could not contend with them alone. It seemed he needed to retreat into the deep mountains to cultivate peacefully. Once he became truly powerful, he would be able to tear open the space and leave this ancient battlefield. "Take care." Lin Dong cupped his hands toward the mighty earth-cracking tiger, then swiftly shot out of Beast Valley. At the same time, Little Mink transformed into a streak of red light and merged into Lin Dong's body. Watching Lin Dong's retreating figure, the mighty earth-cracking tiger also breathed a sigh of relief. The faint pressure emanating from Little Mink made it quite uncomfortable, like a lower being under the suppression of a superior. The legendary heavenly demon mink is indeed terrifying,